When my maternity leave was coming to an end, I was a wreck. The thought of leaving my little girl with someone else while I went back to work just made my heart ache. My husband and I had discussed our options. We could do daycare, we could do a nanny, we could do some part-time solution, but we didn't make any final decisions yet. We wanted to find the right fit with someone that we both trusted. That's when my mother-in-law stepped in with what she called the perfect solution. She had a friend whose daughter was looking for a nannying job, Emma. And according to her, Emma was wonderful. She had experience, she was great with kids, and just so happened to be available right when I needed her. My mother-in-law was so enthusiastic about it. She was just adamant that Emma would be the perfect nanny for my daughter. Here's the thing. I had never met Emma. I didn't know anything about her other than what my mother-in-law had told me, and something about that just didn't sit right with me. I wanted to conduct my own interviews and, try to connect with someone on my own timeline. But my mother-in-law just kept pushing, saying everything would be easier if we just hire Emma. She even set up an interview without asking me first. I felt trapped. I didn't want to offend my mother-in-law, but this is my baby we're talking about. How could I leave her with someone that I hadn't even chosen? My husband is caught in the middle, saying, well, he didn't think there was much harm in meeting Emma, but he completely understood my hesitation. Still, the pressure from his mom was mounting, and we just felt like we had to play along. What would you do if someone tried to push a decision like this on you? Would you give in to avoid conflict, or would you stand your ground? Let me know how you would handle it in the comments. Because me, I was stressed beyond belief. The more my mother-in-law pushed, the more anxious I became. I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't really about the nanny, this was about control. I mean, this was my decision to make, and here she is trying to make it look like it's her choice. It made me feel like I wasn't being respected as a mother. It made me feel like my instincts and my judgment were just not important to her. I started dreading every conversation with her. Every time we talked, she'd bring up Emma, asking when I was going to confirm and hire her. It was driving me crazy. I couldn't sleep. I found myself snapping at my husband. And all he was trying to do was keep the peace. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that if I don't stand up for myself right now, this is going to lay the foundation of how she views all of my parenting decisions for the rest of my kid's life. Finally, I decided that enough was enough. I called my mother-in-law and I told her as politely as I could that although I appreciate her help, this is a decision for me to make. That I wanted to meet other candidates. I wanted to make a connection with someone and not just hire someone because they knew someone I know. I could hear the disappointment in her voice, but I knew I had to be firm. I told her that it wasn't about Emma. I just needed to feel confident and confirm my own choice. She did not take that well. She insisted I was being too picky and that I was making the whole process way harder than it had to be. But I stood my ground. I told her that while I valued her opinion, this is something that I needed to do my way. It was probably one of the most it was the hardest conversation I've ever had so far, but I knew it had to happen. I needed to make it clear that as a mother, I need to make the decisions about my child. And looking back now, I know I did the right thing. It wasn't easy standing up to my mother-in-law, but it was necessary. As much as she wanted to help, this is my child, and I need to trust my instincts. I ended up finding a wonderful nanny who clicked perfectly with our family, and I felt confident in my choice because I'm the one that made it. I realized that sometimes having boundaries means having those uncomfortable conversations. And it's not about shutting people out, but it is about making sure that your voice as a parent is heard and respected. It was a tough lesson to learn, but it's one that makes me feel stronger and more confident in my abilities as a mother. Since then, my mother-in-law has backed off a little bit, but I can tell she's still a little sore on the subject. I think she's starting to understand that, although I do appreciate her input, I'm going to make my own decisions about my kid. It hasn't been easy, but setting that boundary has really made all the difference. My husband and I have had to have a few more of those tough conversations, and although they're hard, they kind of get a little easier every time. We're both learning how to navigate our roles as parents while also trying to maintain relationships with our family. And it's hard, but it's definitely worthwhile. Moving forward, I feel more confident in standing up for what I believe is right for my child. I've learned that being a good mother means trusting my instincts and doing what I think is right for my child, even if it means having to have tough conversations. It's a journey, but every day I'm getting a little better at it. And every time I see my daughter happy and thriving, I know I made the right choice.